Welcome, Gods of War fans, to our next podcast. Yes, we've got a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
Hey, do we have
exciting weekend?
Welcome to our first mini-series podcast. No, let's do. What a weekend! 3 title fights in the UFC. I think, firstly, I did not wake up. You and I watched together Sunday morning. You pointed out that I was too lazy to drive to you.
Yes, I had to drive to him.
Hey,
he had all sorts of excuses.
I had good coffee. And my kids sort of were asleep during. Okay. So, we'll call it a win. Win. Plus, there was leftover braai meat from the KO the night before. You need to braai in preparation of the fight. No, okay. So, firstly, you just missed it. But I don't know if you caught up on the highlights of it. Was the Dominick Cruz fight?
Yeah, I did catch up on the highlights. So one of the contentious issues with the scoring. The scoring seems to have been quite a. We've been going backwards and forwards with it. We'll get into that.
I watched that fight, and he deserved to win. I don't know.
He deserved to win. But Dana White and a few other people are saying that, there needs to be overhaul with the scoring system because how does one judge see a fight completely different to another? Because one gave the fight to the other guy. So. Scoring seems to be a problem, but we'll get into that with the 10-8 round with Adesanya as well.
Yeah, but for me, Cruz managed to get the victory. I think it was his first, they said, decision victory since 2016. So the last 5 years, this was the only one that went to a decision. So I'm happy for him that he got into the win column at age 30, 35, 36, somewhere around there. So nice for him to pick up a W. Scary to think that Dominick Cruz, who will definitely be inducted into the Hall of Fame, I'm sure, at some stage. He was headlining the undercard because the main card was just so stacked.
So stacked, it was.
But I think let's start off with the little guys. Petr Yan versus Aljamain Sterling. What a fight! You and I were worried about Petr Yan's wrestling ability and jiu-jitsu ability against Aljamain Sterling, who viciously chokes people out. And Yan had an answer for absolutely
everything. I think he was also
everything.
just a bit too strong for him. He was a lot more superior in strength.
Polish power.
The Polish power seems to be playing a big part here. He just couldn't seem to drag him to the ground. And when he did try it, he just got up every time.
He had an answer. And Dana White said it in the interview afterwards. You saw Aljamain Sterling breaking. The longer the fight went on and he started eating more shots, emotionally, he just started breaking. We'll edit that one out. Stop there.
Yeah.
And also your bumping of the table.
Yeah, sorry, man.
Let's go back to it. I'll lead it in with there. So you saw Aljamain breaking. And then was it the fourth where the knee, or the fifth? Was it the fourth or the fifth? I can't remember.
It was the fourth round the knee came,
Yes, I was. Firstly, for all our fans out there, they've got a 3-point rule in terms of whether you are grounded. So if 3 points of your body is making contact with the ground, you are considered grounded, and head kicks and head knees are not allowed. Ground and pound and strikes, yes, but when a person is considered grounded, 3 points of their body is touching it. So if you standing on your knees like you're saying a prayer, you've got both your feet at the back touching and you've got your knees in front touching. It's 4 points.
Yeah, 4 points.
If you lift one knee off the ground, you now have both your feet and the one knee. Technically speaking, once that knee lifts even an inch off the ground, the knee is in play, and you can do the head knee from the guy who's in control to the guy that's in a bad spot. You can drop him with the knee. Now there's rumors. I know they're saying the corner said throw the knee. There was a little bit of bad blood.
According to the interview with Yan, he didn't even hear his corner.
Yeah.
He admitted to that. He says he did hear, but he didn't even know what they were saying.
Yeah.
He didn't understand what they were saying. So he's putting it down to a mistake, which I think it was, because he was clearly winning their fight. But quite a different take on the fight was Chael Sonnen getting old. So Chael Sonnen's take on it is, that he's the champion, end of story. Whether the illegal knee came into play doesn't matter, because according to him, you can frustrate someone so much that he does an illegal thing. So, the point that we're making here is that yes, we all thought he was acting and overplaying it, but at the end of the day, the rules are the rules. He broke the rules. The guy won the championship, and that's it. So history will say that was what happened.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So you know, Chael Sonnen went into a couple of fights when I watched the whole thing about it. How other guys have just purely frustrated someone to the point where they make an illegal foul out of pure frustration. I don't think it was frustration. I think it was just in the heat of the moment. I mean, anyone that's a fighter, the intention, it's so intense when you're actually fighting, and to make those split decisions sometimes is not easy. It's not easy, and anyone can.
Well, they're going to run it back. Dana said straight away that Petr Yan wants the rematch, and so does Aljamain Sterling.
Yes.
So I think they sitting together. They said yesterday or 2 days ago, Tuesday, they're sitting.
Yeah, Tuesday. He actually said Tuesday.
Yeah, he said Tuesday they're going to sit down and see where they can slot in that rematch for the year. So keen for the rematch.
Yeah, I think Jan will take it. I think he's gonna. I think he was too slow to start.
Yeah, unless Aljamain Sterling Camp knows where they've fallen short, and he was in there with Petr Yan now before, and they can have a bit more composed. He just looks a bit too pushed, a little bit too forced, a little bit too rushed. You know.
Yes, that's what they were saying. That we were listening to the commentators. The commentators were saying he was like a deer in headlights. He was just like pushing the pace, and I think also the pace got to him as well.
Ran out of puff. You know, speaking of setting the pace, Amanda Nunes.
Yeah, look, she's next level.
Megan Anderson, I don't know if you know this, but rumor has it, I haven't seen it come out, but that she's lost her contract.
Why?
That was the last fight in the UFC contract, and so far it hasn't been renewed.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure that might just be like a little admin hiccup, and they'll renew the fight. How do you contend for a title and then not have it renewed? I'm sure that's going to come through, that she'll get the renewal, but Amanda Nunes is definitely the GOAT, the greatest of all time.
And also another debate's come up with the greatest of all time, and guess what name popped up? Was Cyborg. I've been watching the chat online, and they say Cyborg was the champion for 10 years. But of course he destroyed Cyborg in under 30 seconds. You know, the debate still is out there whether or not she'll be the greatest of all time.
No, she is. I mean, look, she's one of very few people that are double champions. Daniel Cormier, Conor McGregor, Amanda Nunes. Israel Adesanya now tried and failed. And Amanda Nunes, hey,
what's it? Cujo as well. He's also.
Cejudo. So Henry Cejudo, he retired.
Disappeared into
he was the triple C.
Yeah.
He was the triple C, had Olympic gold as well. Yeah. So those are the four that has managed to achieve it. She's the first ever woman to achieve it. And she is continuously, like Dana White also said, she's continuously defending both her belts.
Which is something that not anyone does.
Exactly. So
I also heard that interview
jumping between weight classes and defending on both sides. I mean, it's like playing doubles tennis, but you're the only oak playing. You know, like that's pretty much how she's doing it. Yeah. And she's winning the game. So
she's winning.
How's that for a tennis analogy and an MMA podcast?
Don't tell anyone.
No, so I mean, there's not much to say. They said she needs a quick turnaround. They're hoping to set up another lacquer fight for her at 135. So I just think that, I mean, she did not have a scratch on her. Nothing of.
I just think she's a very powerful, very powerful. I mean, I've seen her push. I mean, look what she did to Cyborg. I mean, she's like.
No, look at
that other chick was 6.2 or something, 6'2".
Which one is this? Anderson.
Yeah, it's like 6'2", you know, so it's not small.
No, she's tall.
And she just, I mean, I saw she missed with the first right, and the second overhand right just was game over.
No, it was game over.
So, but who's next? You know, I mean, I know there's talks, there is talks with one or two people, but who's next? Who do you think is going to be next for her?
I must be honest. They're trying to. She's beaten her before, but they're going to try and set up another super fight between Shevchenko and Nunes.
Yes, yeah.
Nunes has won before. I don't know. They'll probably meet each other at 135. I think they'll meet each other around about there, which is bantamweight. I think that's probably going to be where they meet. Yes, for me. You know, Amanda Nunes is going to stick around for the payday. She's going to make a bit more money now. She became a mom. They're raising a little girl now. So, you know, she's going to build a legacy, and she's going to try and stay there and make as much money as she can until she's got the forever money.
At one stage when Bobby was watching the fight, we thought maybe she's going to announce her retirement.
We actually thought of it. Because, I mean, she's achieved everything. And she just made it abruptly clear, saying she's going nowhere.
Yeah, so we were quite surprised with that.
I don't know who's next. I don't think they know who's next.
Yeah.
I mean, somewhere in the world there must be a woman that is training very, very hard that they can hopefully get through the ranks quickly and get who's going to take over from Nunes. I mean, she's just been so dominant, a champion.
Yeah, apparently Juliana Pena was texting Dana White right after the fight saying that she wants an opportunity, as apparently Holly Holmes is out with I think some injury or disease. I can't remember which one.
Yeah, look, she was the first woman to win the what is called Ultimate Fighter. Yeah. But record of 10-4. I mean, what is it? 10-4, 14 fights, 10 wins, 4 losses, and you're calling out the GOAT.
Yeah.
Is she the young lioness that can take over? Who knows? But
I still say rematch between Holly Holmes and Amanda Nunes.
It's home. It's not Holmes.
Holly Holmes. I think Holly Holmes has got what it takes to not give a good fight.
I'm a big home fan. I'm a big Holly Holmes fan.
But I'd like to see that fight again. Yeah. She got clipped in the other fight, and I watched the slow-mo, and her defense was there, and she actually slipped the arm under and the leg slid all the way up and caught a plum. So the defense was just not there. Just not there.
Well, look, I mean, for us then, the main fight, Adesanya, Jan Blachowicz. Jan Blachowicz, a lot of self-doubt there.
I mean, even after the fight, he walked up to Daniel Cormier as well.
Yeah.
He said, "Do you believe in me now?" And which is a bit weird,
Yeah, and Daniel Cormier said, "I've always believed in you. You are the champ."
The same as Dana White. He walked up to Dana White, do you have faith in me now? And
no, you don't believe in me.
You don't believe in me. So, and I understand him a little bit because, I picked up an interesting thing. Israel Adesanya's time on camera after the fight, about 24 minutes. Jan's time, 9 minutes. So Izzy is the biggest star.
Absolutely,
he is.
You can't argue that.
And he's a character. He's got a personality, and the parties are more serious. Like I always say, what do they do for stress? They drink vodka, So that's their relief system that they have. But I mean, Israel fought well. And again, the scorecards came into question. You and I had a bit of debate about it on Facebook as well. Chris got involved, but as how I understood a 10-8 round. Okay, I know they got different rules, but especially the Nevada State Commission, and I listened to a few of the podcasts about it. It's very clear cut that if the ref is short of stopping the fight, that is a 10-8 round. These are Nevada rules, not our rules, not Marshall.
No, but but it doesn't work like that.
No, but I'm saying that is the ruling there. Don't talk about I'm not talking about IMF or MMA SA. I'm talking about the Nevada Athletic State Commission. It is a serious burning of it out, and their score system is based on that. It's not based on anything else. And that is the question that's been asked. And once again, Charles Sonnen went very in depth, and I'm not going to mention all the names. He started mentioning the names of the officials and how they've scored fights and how they are not called into or reprimanded in some way, saying, "Look, how can you?" He's not disputing the 10-8 rounds. Okay, no one's disputing the result. The
Jan Blachowicz won.
The dispute is how do you score a 10-8 round when it is not within the parameters of what they call it.
Okay, if I can come in here.
No, but I'm saying that's on their rules.
Yeah, no, I've got it. Firstly, it's all sanctioned under IMAF. Okay, so yes, it's sanctioned by the Nevada Athletic State Committee or whatever, commission. But the rules for MMA is found under IMAF. There has been an update. We can always go and research when that update was. But how I understood it is that you always look at damage, okay? The first thing, the only consideration you look at is effective striking and effective grappling, and which creates the most damage, okay? The person inflicting the most damage wins that round 10-9. That's assuming there's a big fight then happening. When it goes to a 10-8, it's where you say, okay, yes, Martin and Terence are having a good fight, but I am outstriking you, I'm out-grappling you, I am damaging you more. It's one-sided, that's 10-8. I've heard of, and Ferdi Basson told us this as well, about a 10-7 round, which is just short. The referee could have made a mistake there by not stopping the fight, and it's an absolute ass whooping. That's a 10-7, which is I've never seen. But now, to get back to it. So I understand the differentiation between 10 and 8, okay? Do I personally, in my personal capacity, feel that there was a 10-8 round in the Blachowicz-Adesanya fight? No.
Okay.
I'll admit that. I'll admit that. I'll admit that.
Yeah.
And all those rounds were way too close.
Yes.
I wouldn't have scored. And I mean, there's a reason why you and I are on Gods of War. We're still on the amateur scene. We are not pros. We're not sitting in that hot seat. But for me, and for you watching, we went and what I saw, I did not see one round that was so dominant that it was a 10-8. Those were all 10-9s. In my opinion,
100%. Well, it is. It's a noteworthy debate because, like what Shay was saying, is that what is the standard? Why is and we know judging is always contentious. And when I used to fight and involved other fighters, finish the fight. Don't give it to the hands of the judges because it's always this has been going on since there's been judging in fighting. There's still some in the Colosseum, some oaks that made graffiti there on the walls because the oaks were moaning about who was moaning about the wrestling. There's still an appeal process for some of those gladiators from the 1600s. It's ongoing. But his head's lying there. I won. He didn't win. His head's off. But so I don't know how they're going to fix it because there seems for some reason now there's a massive storm about it.
I don't have an answer for you.
No one has an answer. That's not.
But one thing I want to highlight, especially to the fans watching it. Terence is a striker. He will have without knowing it, an unconscious or subconscious. Not unconscious.
Subconscious.
You're going to have a subconscious bias towards a striker. Why? Because you're a striker. Some oak who's got a better ground game, a better wrestling game, he's gonna look and resonate with the part of the game that is more natural to him. So when a wrestler sees an MMA guy out wrestling somebody, that he favors the wrestler. When a striker says, the striker will ignore the fact that I spent 3 minutes on my back, but for 2 minutes I moved this oak properly in front of me.
Or he gives him a 10-8 round because there's 100,000 rand put into his bank account.
I suppose, but it's not it's not cricket. No, the thing is, you're always going to have a last point on that. There's going to be inherent biases. Everybody's going to go in with some form of bias. So what is the standard? The standard is damage. That is what you're supposed to score on. Who is damaging the other one more? So the question is, ground control for 4 minutes, then nothing happens. One guy was in top control, didn't manage to posture up and land big blows, didn't attempt much in terms of submissions. The referee stands him up, and for that last 60 seconds, the striker moves this grappler.
Wins over the judge.
He wins over the judges. Because why? He created more damage in that minute than what the other guy created damage in the preceding 4 minutes. Yeah. That's what's busy happening,
Look, I understand it, but the big problem is there's somewhere there needs to be a standard, and it's very difficult in judging because we all look at a fight differently, like you're saying. There are subtle biases built into our mentality and how we see a fight. But what Shal was saying, which was 100% correct, is none of these officials are called to task. That's the issue he's having. He's saying maybe he doesn't understand, maybe he doesn't see, but please explain to me, how do you get to that 10-8 round?
Yeah.
And another thing that they want to bring back is open scorecards. In other words, show...
And live, maybe live as well.
Open scorecards or live scorecards so that people can see the scorecards.
What you're scoring at.
Because I agree with that, because you know what's wrong with that? I mean, if you have faith in your judging and you have faith in your ability to call the fights, and you that is your job anyway, why should you want to hide your score, who scored what? Because that is the issues that they're having. Live scorecards, what a pleasure. They hypes the fights up. I mean, 9 out of 10 times the corners are calling the fight. They say, listen, you got to win this round. You got to win this round because they know. They're in the know. So why does it have to be a secret? And that is all these things are becoming very contagious now. We're not contagious.
Let's focus. Let's focus on the fight itself. Yeah. So for me, what has become more evident, I mean, Nunes, McGregor, Cejudo. Okay? If you look at those three, ignore Daniel Cormier, the daddest man on the planet. Man, I love that. I love it. Probably because I'm also Dick. I sparked the daddest man on the planet. No. Those three are smaller weight classes, easier to go up and down in between weight classes. My opinion. No. Like what I'm saying is, whether if you're 61.3, you bantamweight. You're 61.4, you featherweight. So what I'm saying is you can get within each other within 5 kilos. That's actually, some of them are 3 or 4 kilos within there. A guy like Izzy got on the scale at 200.5. His cutoff is 205. Okay, so he's 2 kilos under the upper limit of light heavy because he walks around there. He didn't want to gain. By his own admission, he said himself, he doesn't want to gain the weight and sacrifice the speed. So he didn't want to do that. A guy like Jan Blachowicz cuts weight to come in at 205. The rule book says that you're not allowed to regain 10% of your body weight between stepping on the scale and stepping into the cage. So if he did a water cut and he just gained 20 pounds, which would have been just under the maximum, he would have been 25 pounds heavier. That is 10 kilos.
That's a lot.
Okay? Just over 10 kilos.
If
you get into the cage with an elite athlete, I'm talking about another champion. It's not like you're taking somebody on in the top 10 or top 15 ranking of that weight division higher. You're looking at somebody who's also a prime athlete, a champion with Polish power, and he comes in, call it 11 kilos, 12 kilos heavier than you.
Yeah, look,
you're going to have a tough day at the office.
Look, I fought in 1994. I fought a guy with 20 kilos heavier than me because we didn't care about weight those years.
Yeah.
And it was a nightmare. I mean, I'd hit him, and he'd hit me, and he'd hit me on my chest, and I'd sit on my ass, you know. That was the difference.
Yeah.
You know, I'd hit him and wouldn't even move him, and he hit me, and I would sit flat on my bum. So weight is a huge, I mean, especially just leaning on the guy.
Size.
That's what I'm saying, the weight and the size. It was just lean on you. I mean, so I thought Izzy fought a brilliant fight.
Absolutely.
I thought he fought a brilliant fight. He showed, and you know what was also very nice? The way he handled himself with the loss. He handled it fucking brilliantly. So, you know, I got a lot more respect for him. He came in there, he tried, and he fell short, you know. You know, I got a lot more respect for him.
But heaven help those other middleweights when he goes back there to defend his belt.
Because I think he's a wounded animal at the moment. And,
he's going to want to bounce back.
Animal's going to hurt you, you know. Put on a show, you know.
Speaking of putting on a show, EP Trials. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be live from the podcast on Saturday. Saturday, that will make it the 13th. From EP Trials. EP Trials the guys have been working so hard behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So has Terence. It's an inside joke. So what will happen now is the head coaches in terms of Jason Hendricks, Barry Dean Duncan, they are putting the guys through their paces. They have been since last week. There's been fitness tests. The guys have been doing technical skills and testing of it on the mats, in the cage control, striking, pad work, everything has happened. So the guys are building up. It's getting to a head this Saturday in the Warmer Community Hall.
Yeah,
what is it?
There's no spectators.
No spectators allowed due to COVID, but we'll be there and we'll bring the action to you guys. I think the MMA SA Eastern Cape Committee with Lauren heading it up, Lauren Rudolph, Deputy Chris Bright, doing a phenomenal job. A phenomenal job in getting the athletes in there. As the podcast was happening now, there's messages on the Gods of War page from athletes who has got amateur records, who moved down to their homes during COVID. They want to compete out of EP. Can they still make it to trials? The answer is yes. You guys would have missed the first part. You'll have to have an impressive showing because this process has been going on for 10 days. But if there are amateurs out there, and you make contact with the MMA SA Eastern Cape Committee or the Eastern Cape Facebook page, let them know there is an entrance fee that you need to pay.
Yeah, I think it's 200
bucks per athlete. The cage is set up. The guys are banging in there, and we want to send a strong EP team to nationals to send to worlds.
I mean, I'll be going every night. I'm going again tonight, Thursday night. Tonight I'll be going there. I think this podcast will be releasing only on Friday tomorrow morning. But I mean, I've seen some talented guys. But I can tell you now,
not everybody gets to roll with me.
And I can tell you now that
it's a joke.
On speaking to Jason and Barry and to Chris, Chris has been there, Barry's been there, Jason's been there. They're going to set the bar very high. They would rather send a small team than a big team, and don't make an impression. So the bar's going to be set high. They want to say to guys, right, you know what, you didn't make it this year. Work on your skills. This is your shortfalls. Whatever you come back next year.
Sharpen the tools
as a better athlete. And at the end of the day, we're very fortunate to have those three guys in our province.
Absolutely.
Very, very fortunate. The athletes do not know how lucky they are. Martin's heard me say it a million times that we live in the golden age of MMA. We never had these opportunities. We'd watch videos, we would scour anywhere, we would watch movies and copy the bloody stuff, So
can you do the dimmak?
I can.
The death touch, blood sport.
I can.
Bottom one.
yeah. I can stop a bullet too, but only once. So the athletes are exposed to years and years and years of experience. They're very fortunate. Like I said, we never had it, so it's nice to see that, and the sport's growing. Let's hope some athletes do well from the province, and hopefully we see them at the next Gods of War.
Absolutely. I mean, for the amateurs that's listening to the podcast, we'll wrap it up. For the amateurs and the amateur fans and call it like the layman spectator that might be listening to this podcast, COVID has had a huge impact. A lot of gyms have closed. A lot of guys haven't been able to train. Because of the nature of MMA, it is a very contact-intensive sport. When you wrestle, when you grapple, when you clinch, when you strike. So COVID has taken a lot away from this. So I'm not saying our guys are rusty. I'm saying it's been a long time they're sitting on the sidelines where they might have kept themselves active on a bag and done strength and conditioning, stuff that they could do by themselves.
But I want to give a message out to the amateurs as well, which we might not agree. You guys need to up your game because the rest of South Africa hasn't been laying around watching TV. They've been training. The level up country is very high. The level up country is very high. And yes, COVID has had an impact, but you know what? As a fighter, you need to stay busy, you need to stay focused, and you need to concentrate on your skills and sharpen your skills. And seek out some decent trainers, seek out the people that know what they're doing, because a lot of the trainers are holding the guys back.
Yeah.
And that's also becoming an issue.
Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, I mean, you've got such a short time frame to make a good career out of this. I mean, a guy like Dricus du Plessis had his first kickboxing fight, first amateur kickboxing fight. I think it was 14 or 15 years old. He started in the amateur scene. He made his pro debut with EFC at age 19. And he went on like a 2 or 3 fight winning streak before he got submitted by Soldier Boy, Gareth McClelland. And that gave him a wake-up call, and then we all know the success story of that. By the way, while we're on that topipic, sad news about Don Madge and Don Madge first. It seems what happened here is that the embassies have an issue with giving the visas for South Africans to travel to the States.
Yeah,
it's keeping our guys at home. It's not very cool. We wish the guys like Dricus and Don all the best. All the best to the amateurs. We'll be there with a live podcast on Saturday from trials. So what we'll do, you can't be there in person, but we will be there and we'll get some footage. Terence and I will go live a few times on the page, I'm sure. And we'll interview some of the guys that are making an impression, certainly on the two of us. We don't know about the coaches. We've got zero influence or anything like that. We just managed to get in because we technically have our cage in there. So we
the media component of MMA SA in Eastern Cape. We're assisting with the media side of things.
So we will be able to give you the inside track on what's happening on the inside there. We'll chat to coaches, we'll chat to athletes, we'll give you guys some live updates. Maybe we'll grab Lauren if she's there for as the chairperson of our local committee. She can give us her thoughts.
Maybe pull Chris in, which Chris doesn't like doing interviews.
Not necessarily. I don't know if he will enjoy Chris Bright, no pressure. I know we can get a guy like Jason to have a chat, a guy like Barry, if they're not too busy. We'll try and put them in front of the camera so they can give us the inside track as to the thought process.
Yes, 100%. Yeah,
that was us.
Yeah, that's us, guys. Till next time.
Please watch us. Watch out for the page and the updates on Saturday. We're going to be there. It's going to be a good one. Looking forward to it. I've got a 30th later that day, and I might just leave you with all the cleanup.
Fantastic.
Cheers, guys. Have a lucky one.
Good luck out there today.